Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, coach.
So, as far as I understand, you have your TOEFL test this Saturday.
Yeah,
Okay. And you said some good news and bad news about that.
yeah.
Tell me about it.
Uh, I think that the good news is all the skills we want to do in speaking is it works. So I think speaking is more when I do the speaking test is more confident and easier.
Mhm.
And the bad news is about that the reading part.
The reading
uh,
part. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the reading part for me is more difficult.
Mhm.
I don't know why. So I got a more got a lower score on
On
it
the mock
because
test.
after I finish the test I can see my listening and reading score. So I know that maybe I mess up with my reading.
Okay.
Mm.
Um, Couple of things I want to ask about your process. When you open the content that you have to read, are you taking notes as you read?
Nope.
Try that.
But um
Just like as you read important points, write them down. Important points. I mean, you can't highlight the document, right? So take quick notes. It'll help you stay focused and organize your thoughts. Okay. Tip two, when you get to a word you don't understand, make your guess quick and keep moving on. Don't get stuck on that word because it's time management, man. And you gotta move on. There's a chance, maybe a 50-50 chance that word is there to trap you, and it has nothing to do with anything else. Okay.
mm,
Now you're given paragraphs, so you can even go P1, paragraph one. What's the main point? What's the main point of two? What's the main point of P3? Take notes. So when you're going through the questions, you know, oh, this is applying to information in paragraph three. You can see that and you can go study paragraph three and find the right answer. Okay. Taking notes, being organized, and not getting caught in the trap of not understanding vocab. Just guess and move on. And the third tip, are you reading it out loud?
no.
Ah, everything
Yeah,
I've
it's
been
a
teaching you has been to get the English into your ears. Okay.
yeah.
So read it out loud. Always be speaking. Always just talk to the test. That's a great. I'm gonna write that down somewhere. Talk to the test. All the way through it. Whenever there's something to read, read it out loud. Get used to that idea. Okay, we've been moving your English training into your ears for 4 months, 5 months, whatever it is now. Okay, now's the time to trust it. Three. So, what are the three tips again? Okay, take notes, don't get stuck, and read out loud. Okay, now about the speaking, that's fantastic. And I think your writing is going to be much better too, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so the reason you can get your results right away for the listening and the reading is because that is the passive acquisition of skills, right? That's straight up answering. You don't have to think about what to say, you just have to analyze the English and figure out the answer. Remember, in our training, we've done passive and active, right? And the writing and the speaking, that's the active. Now, traditionally, that's where people's scores are much lower because they're so nervous and they worry about making mistakes. They don't manage their time properly. But yours, that portion of your test is much stronger now. Okay. So just remember to incorporate the listening is going to be way better too. Your listening is going to be way better because of all the ear yoga you've done. Your listening is much faster. Your vocabulary is larger. Your experience with listening to people speak English. You've done a lot more of it a lot more in the last 4 months than you've done in your whole life. Right? No subtitles, no stopping, just straight listening, test-like situation. So you should be comfortable with the listening as well. Again, when you don't understand something, it's the same thing. That's why it's called ear yoga. We just let it go by, right? Remember the first day, what is your comfort level with not understanding? We wanted to push that down. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. For this exact moment in the test, are you going to let the test trap you into wasting time? No.
No.
Good. Okay. And I have a really big class plan for us today, so I hope you're ready to work hard.
Okay.
Okay. I have a
Oh,
huge class plan for you today. So I'm gonna tell you what's going to happen. I think it's only fair. Okay. I'm going to torture you a bit. I want to raise your anxiety level higher to the highest point that it's been. And then we're going to practice the 4-7-8 for 5 minutes. And then we're going to do power posing for 3 minutes. During the
oh,
power posing, you're going to be thinking about all your dreams coming true. Okay.
okay.
And then I'm going to put you through 2 writing tests and 2 speaking tests. It's going to involve a lot of listening, and the listening is going to be extremely hard. Okay.
Okay.
I'll give you a break in between the 2 tests. Okay.
Okay.
But right now, when I talked about doing the power posing, I said, I want you to imagine all your dreams coming true. Now I want you to imagine none of your dreams coming true. I want you to imagine you really mess up this TOEFL test. You screw it up. You get a lower score than your previous score. You're going to use your old score for your applications, and you're not going to get accepted to school in America. So what happens then? What do you do? What does Ben do when he does not get accepted to school in America? What's your plan?
Mm, I will go to work, maybe have a years and still preparing for my TOEFL and apply for
Ah,
next year.
try again.
Yeah.
What kind of job will you get?
It's more like my major
So
is
you'll work in your related field.
yeah, related field.
Okay. All right. That's a good plan B. I
Yeah.
want you to imagine that you do everything you can, and still your nervousness gets to you, and you can't pass this test. Is even plan B, that's a terrible option, right? You don't want it, that's wasting a year of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So think about that. Okay, think about that happening, because that's a possibility, right? And I want you to really imagine a worst case scenario. And now I want you to do 4-7-8 breathing. Go somewhere quiet in your apartment. I'm going to stop the recording for 5 minutes, and you go do some 4-7-8 breathing and concentrate only on the counting. Okay, just count in for 4, hold for 7, out for 8. In through the nose, out through the mouth. For 5 minutes, just concentrate on the counting. Okay, go relax. And then immediately, once the 5 minutes are up, go into power posing and focus on your dreams coming true. After that 8 minutes, come and sit down again, and we're going to start the test. Okay? 5 minutes, go. Any questions?
No.
Okay, go. You can do it on camera? Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna stop the recording. I don't want to watch you breathe for 5 minutes, but I'll stay and watch you, no problem. 5 minutes later, you're nice and relaxed now. Now shake that out, shake it out, wake it up. Big breath in, big breath out. In, out. Okay, now go to your mirror and do several power poses for 3 minutes. Fist pumps, victory. Yes, strut around, build up your testosterone, get it going, and imagining you go to America, you get the good job, you're driving the Benz down Renai Lu to your home on Renai Zhongshan, no, Jiangguo, Renai Jiangguo Lu. It's a nice place to live, right?
Mm.
All right. Power pose, 3 minutes. Go.
Right here?
In a mirror. Oh, you can see yourself, I guess, on the camera.
Oh,
So yeah, full
there,
body, full body.
there is in there.
Go in there. I'm pausing the recording.
Yeah.
3 minutes later, what should be happening is the testosterone is building up and you're feeling a little bit more powerful and in control. 2 deep breaths now and focus. Okay. Before we start, a quick question. When you were doing the power posing and you were imagining your best life, were
Yeah.
you thinking in English or thinking in Chinese?
Oh, it seems to be in English.
Woohoo!
Uh, maybe it's the reason that I
Yeah,
just talked to you.
here's
So,
a 4 7
yeah.
8. The 4 7 8, was it 1 2 3 4 or E or Sansu?
1, 2,
Were
3,
were you
4.
counting in English or counting in Chinese when you were doing the 4 7 8?
I imagined the number in my head, so I didn't
Oh,
count
so
in
you see
any.
the picture of the
Yeah,
number.
I still a picture in
Interesting,
my.
interesting,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, cool, cool. So this is the first time I'm trying this experiment. You're patient zero of my new technique, and I want to see how this works. Now I want to really test you on it. Okay.
Okay, that's right.
Okay, so one of the things that I think is lacking in everybody's writing that I read is opinion. How the video applies to your life. Okay, what are the lessons you are learning from the content that has been shared with you, right? There's a lot of, you can report this happened, then this happened. You can do a narrative, but narrative should include lessons learned, thoughts about things, opinion. Okay. So you're going to watch a video and then you're going to do 20 minutes of writing. So you're going to take notes during the video. It's a long video. It's longer than what you're going to experience. It's like a air yoga experience. You might have even seen this one. You should have seen this one. And take notes, and then you're going to talk about how the information contained within this video can be applied to your life. Okay? Sharing sound. So it's a 15-minute video. You ready?
Yeah, ready.
So how do we learn?
Is there a problem?
Is it stop or something?
Screen share is paused. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
That's what I paused. Okay. Share.
researcher here at the University of
Better? It's going again? Yeah,
British Columbia. And these are the questions that fascinate.
is that going again?
Just here, what do we learn and stuff?
Because I'm stopping. Okay, I'm gonna push play. Tell me if you can see it.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see it?
Yeah,
Okay, you ready?
yeah.
Here we go.
So how do we learn? And why do some of us learn things more easily than others? So as I was mentioned, I'm Dr. Laura Boyd. I'm a brain researcher here at the University of British Columbia. And these are the questions that fascinate me. So brain research is one of the great frontiers in the understanding of human physiology, and also in the consideration of what makes us who we are. It's an amazing time to be a brain researcher, and I would argue to you that I have the most interesting job in the world. What we know about the brain is changing at a breathtaking pace. And much of what we thought we knew and understood about the brain turns out to be not true or incomplete. Now, some of these misconceptions are more obvious than others. For example, we used to think that after childhood, the brain could not change. And it turns out that nothing could be farther from the truth. Another misconception about the brain is that you only use parts of it at any given time, and it's silent when you do nothing. Well, this is also untrue. It turns out that even when you're at rest and thinking of nothing, your brain is highly active. So it's been advances in technology, such as MRI, has allowed us to make these and many other important discoveries. And perhaps the most exciting, the most interesting and transformative of these discoveries is that every time you learn a new fact or skill, you change your brain. It's something we call neuroplasticity. So as little as 25 years ago, we thought that after about puberty, the only changes that took place in the brain were negative. The loss of brain cells with aging, the result of damage, like a stroke. And then studies began to show remarkable amounts of reorganization in the adult brain. And the ensuing research has shown us that all of our behaviors change our brain, that these changes are not limited by age. It's good news, right? And in fact, they're taking place all the time. And very importantly, brain reorganization helps to support recovery after you damage your brain. The key to each of these changes is neuroplasticity. So what does it look like? So your brain can change in three very basic ways to support learning. And the first is chemical. So your brain actually functions by transferring chemical signals between brain cells, what we call neurons, and these trigger a series of actions and reactions. So to support learning, your brain can increase the amount or the concentrations of these chemical signaling that's taking place between neurons. Now, because this kind of change can happen very rapidly, this supports short-term memory, or the short-term improvement in the performance of a motor skill. The second way that the brain can change to support learning is by altering its structure. So during learning, the brain can change the connections between neurons. Now here, the physical structure of the brain is actually changing, so this takes a bit more time. These types of changes are related to long-term memory, the long-term improvement in a motor skill. Now, these processes, they interact, and let me give you an example of how. So we've all tried to learn a new motor skill, maybe playing the piano, maybe learning to juggle. And you've had the experience of getting better and better within a single session of practice and thinking, I've got it. And then maybe you've returned the next day and all those improvements from the day before, they're lost. What happened? Well, in the short term, your brain was able to increase the chemical signaling between your neurons. But for some reason, those changes did not induce the structural change that are necessary to support long-term memory. Remember that long-term memories take time, and what you see in the short term does not reflect learning. It's these physical changes that are now going to support long-term memories and chemical changes that support short-term memories. Structural changes also can lead to integrated networks of brain regions that function together to support learning. And they can also lead to certain brain regions that are important for very specific behaviors to change their structure or to enlarge. And so here's some examples of that.
What's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning? If you're checking your phone, stop that. Instead, try this technique.
So people who read Braille, they have larger hand sensory areas in their brain than those of us who don't. Your dominant hand motor region, which is on the left side of your brain if you're right-handed, is larger than the other side. And research shows that London taxi cab drivers who actually have to memorize a map of London to get their taxi cab license, they have larger brain regions devoted to spatial or mapping memories. Now, the last way that your brain can change to support learning is by altering its function. As you use a brain region, it becomes more and more excitable and easy to use again. And as your brain has these areas that increase their excitability, the brain shifts how and when they're activated. With learning, we see that whole networks of brain activity are shifting and changing. So neuroplasticity is supported by chemical, by structural, and by functional changes. And these are happening across the whole brain. They can occur in isolation from one another, but most often they take place in concert. Together, they support learning, and they're taking place all the time. So I've just told you really how awesomely neuroplastic your brain is. So why can't you learn anything you choose to with ease? Why do our kids sometimes fail in school? Why, as we age, do we tend to forget things? And why don't people fully recover from brain damage? That is, what is it that limits and facilitates neuroplasticity? And so this is what I study. I study it specifically how it relates to recovery from stroke. So recently, stroke dropped from being the third leading cause of death in the United States to be the fourth leading cause of death. Great news, right? Well, it actually turns out that the numbers of people having a stroke has not declined. We're just better at keeping people alive after a severe stroke. It turns out to be very difficult to help the brain recover from stroke. And frankly, we have failed to develop effective rehabilitation interventions. The net result of this is that stroke is the leading cause of long-term disability in adults in the world. Individuals with stroke are younger and tending to live longer with that disability. And research from my group actually shows that the health-related quality of life of Canadians with stroke has declined. So clearly we need to be better at helping people recover from stroke. And this is an enormous societal problem, and it's one that we're not solving. So what can be done? One thing is absolutely clear. The best driver of neuroplastic change in your brain is your behavior. The problem is that the dose of behavior, the dose of practice that's required to learn new and relearn old motor skills, it's very large. And how to effectively deliver these large doses of practice is a very difficult problem. It's also a very expensive problem. So the approach that my research has taken is to develop therapies that prime or that prepare the brain to learn. And these have included brain stimulation, exercise, and robotics. But through my research, I've realized that a major limitation to the development of therapies that speed recovery from stroke is that patterns of neuroplasticity are highly variable from person to person. Now, as a researcher, variability used to drive me crazy. It makes it very difficult to use statistics to test your data and your ideas. And because of this, medical intervention studies are specifically designed to minimize variability. But in my research, it's becoming really clear that the most important, the most informative data that we collect is showing this variability. So by studying the brain after stroke, we've learned a lot, and I think these lessons are very valuable in other areas. So the first lesson is that the primary driver of change in your brain is your behavior. So there's no neuroplasticity drug you can take. Nothing is more effective than practice at helping you learn. And the bottom line is, you have to do the work. And in fact, my research has shown that increased difficulty, increased struggle, if you will, during practice actually leads to both more learning and greater structural change in the brain. The problem here is that neuroplasticity can work both ways. It can be positive. You learn something new and you refined a motor skill. It also can be negative, though. You forgot something you once knew. You become addicted to drugs. Maybe you have chronic pain. So your brain is tremendously plastic, and it's being shaped both structurally and functionally by everything you do, but also by everything that you don't do. The second lesson we've learned about the brain is that there is no one-size-fits-all approach to learning. So there's no recipe for learning. Consider the popular belief that it takes 10,000 hours of practice to learn and to master a new motor skill. Now, I can assure you it is not quite that simple. For some of us, it's going to take a lot more practice, and for others, it may take far less. So the shaping of our plastic brains it's far too unique for there to be any single intervention that's going to work for all of us. And now this realization have forced us to consider something called personalized medicine. So this is the idea that to optimize outcomes, each individual requires their own intervention. And the idea actually comes from cancer treatments. And here it turns out that genetics are very important in matching certain types of chemotherapy with specific forms of cancer. My research is showing that this also applies to recovery from stroke. So there are certain characteristics of brain structure and function that we call biomarkers. And these biomarkers are proving to be very helpful in helping us to match specific therapies with individual patients. And the data from my lab suggests it's a combination of biomarkers that best predicts neuroplastic change and patterns of recovery after stroke. And that's not surprising given how complicated the human brain is. But I also think we can consider this concept much more broadly. Given the unique structure and function of each of our brains, what we've learned about neuroplasticity after stroke applies to everyone. Behaviors that you employ in your everyday life are important. Each of them is changing your brain. And I believe we have to consider not just personalized medicine, but personalized learning. The uniqueness of your brain will affect you, both as a learner and also as a teacher. And now this idea helps us to understand why some children can thrive in traditional education settings and others don't. Why some of us can learn languages easily, and yet others can pick up any sport and excel. So when you leave this room today, your brain will not be the same as when you entered this morning. And I think that's pretty amazing. But each of you is going to have changed your brain differently. Understanding these differences, these individual patterns, this variability and change, is going to enable the next great advance in neuroscience. It's going to allow us to develop new and more effective interventions and allow for matches between learners and teachers and patients and interventions. And this does not just apply to recovery from stroke. It applies to each of us as a parent, as a teacher, as a manager, and also, because you're at TEDx today, a lifelong learner. Study how and what you learn best. Repeat those behaviors that are healthy for your brain and break those behaviors and habits that are not. Practice. Learning is about doing the work that your brain requires. So the best strategies are going to vary between individuals. You know what? They're even going to vary within individuals. So for you, learning music may come very easily, but learning to snowboard, much harder. I hope that you leave today with a new appreciation of how magnificent your brain is. You and your plastic brain are constantly being shaped by the world around you. Understand that everything you do, everything you encounter, and everything you experience is changing your brain. And that can be for better, but it can also be for worse. So when you leave today, go out and build the brain you want. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you have 20 minutes to give me a writing sample. Okay, it's 11:10, you have till 11:30. Brain trainer, my best draft, reading out loud, always reading out loud. You ready? Go.
Yeah.
4 minutes left.
Mhm.
2 minutes. 1 minute left, 60 seconds. And time's up. Stop.
Okay.
All right. So I have a lot of thoughts, but that was hard work. That was 35 minutes of straight working. So why don't you take a minute, go get some water. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, take a
Okay.
minute, take rest your head for 2 minutes, take a rest, and then come back.
2 minutes?
Yeah, do you need a rest, or do you want to go right, keep going?
Sure, I can go to have some water.
Yeah, go have some water, just relax for a minute, shake that off, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Okay, so after 20 minutes,
Oh,
you have submitted a pretty good draft. Okay.
I hope so. Yeah.
Uh, your draft definitely tells me you understood a lot about what the speaker talked about. Okay, I have a good idea about what the video was about from this. You are using higher level words like misunderstandings and mysteries is a good word. Compared to the kind of is a good phrase. Yeah. Also, you'll see when you watch the video that I started recording when you had 5 minutes of writing left. And so you'll see the speed at which you are doing your editing. Okay. And that was really good. Okay. Because you just kept editing and editing right to the time was up. Always making it better. Always making it better. Fantastic. Okay. All right. Now for the bad news. So, observing you during the listening experience, a lot of times your eyes were on the video, right? She didn't have any slides. It was just a camera of her walking around the stage.
Yeah.
You didn't need to look at it at all. You had to listen to it and you had to take notes. Okay. So I'll do a self-assessment on your note-taking ability. But for me, especially like if you look at the 11-minute mark of the video, you'll see that you seem to lose focus. You just kind of glaze over. It looked like you were kind of bored with the assignment. I'm guessing just based on your body language and your facial expression, right? So, do a body language self-assessment while you're listening. Okay. I think head down, taking notes, developing strategy. Don't stop taking notes. Don't stop writing during that whole period. Start to develop your plan. Okay. And you knew the question going in, right? You knew what after this, you're going to have to write. And I gave you a brief. You know what I mean by a brief?
Yeah.
Hitting the brief, right? I told you what to write about. We'll come back to that in a minute. Right? So the more furious of taking notes, you're not just trying to record what's being said, but you're thinking about your plan of how you're going to answer it. This is valuable time. while you're listening to the conversation, you can start developing your ideas with pencil and paper. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. But your understanding of a very complicated subject was quite high, right? I would say you comprehended about 85% of that.
Maybe, but
She speaks slowly, yeah.
yeah, the part of some they called some personal medicine or
Uh-huh.
medical,
Yeah.
and you mentioned about biomarkers, and that part I'm not very
Biomarkers. And all this,
yeah.
but you heard the word biomarkers and you understood that. Okay. Now, talk about planning a strategy. You knew the question that was you had to write about. You knew the brief before you started listening. Right? But you took notes about what it was about and you didn't start to create the strategy of how you're going to answer the brief. Because even though it's pretty well written, the level of writing since you began training with me is way higher. Okay, you completely missed the brief. What did I ask you to write about? What was the brief?
So how do you learn?
No, that's what her brief was. How do we learn? I asked you, do you not remember? Because I can tell you. I asked for your opinion.
Yeah, opinion.
Is there any of your opinion in this? This is just a reporting of what the video was about. If the question was, what was this video about? You would have had a really good answer here.
Yeah, my opinion.
Right? But
Yeah, I
there's
didn't.
nothing about how this applies to your life. That was the brief. How do you take the information in this video and apply it to your life? That was the brief. So when
Yeah,
you're watching it, you're looking for clues that, oh, hey, I could use that in this part of my life. And that starts to help you form a plan. Okay. So somewhere in the first 3 or 4 minutes of that, you should be thinking, oh, how does this apply to my life? And then you're listening to stuff that can support the idea of how you've made that decision early on in the listening process. Okay. So thinking back now, if you got to do it again, what one thing about your life that you're going through could you use this information for? What's going on in your life where you are actually changing the pattern of your brain? It's learning English.
yeah,
Right? So this essay should have been about how you are changing your neuroplasticity, the structure of your brain, through how you're learning English. Make it personal. Personalize the essay. How it affected you. That's what I was looking for. That was the brief. And there's nothing about that in this answer, right? You should.
yeah.
Am I wrong? I was
No, you're
reading
not
along.
wrong.
I don't see any.
Yeah,
Okay. So another thing, all that stuff that she talked about stroke victims. Right? There's a big chunk in the middle where you know what stroke, when people and then they have to go through life like this, and then talking half their face freezes. That's a
oh yeah,
stroke, right?
stroke.
Stroke. She talked a lot about that. All that stuff does not apply to your brief of how this. You're a young man. You're not in any danger of stroke. Now, if you had the experience of stroke in your family and it was something that you were familiar with, at that point you might change. Oh, this is what my essay is about. And you forget all about the English journey and you go, my grandfather had a stroke, and in talking to the doctors, I wish I had this information. I want to research it more. This is how I could help my grandfather. That kind of essay. Personalizing it. Changing. It was a 15-minute video. So you had 15 minutes to build your plan. And when you watch a video, time yourself about how much time you were not taking notes. Right? You can see when you bend over to write, right? You'll be able to see on the video when you're taking notes and when you're watching something you don't need to watch. Okay? Got to pay attention to the brief. Make a plan while the content is being presented to you. How am I going to answer this question? Right? Make a plan and take notes specific to that plan. After the stroke stuff, during that stroke stuff, you could be half listening. Is you going, this doesn't really apply. You want to keep your ear kind of open for a piece of information that you can use, but at the other side of you're right, taking notes, making a plan, right? You can think, oh, when Coach Stu makes me do muscle memory drill and say the word out loud over and over again, this is a small example of how I'm changing my neuroplasticity by teaching muscle memory to my nervous system, right?
Yeah.
You're making your plan. And then she says something, well, what was that? Keep listening more intently. And if you're not understanding, it's okay. If you, oh yeah, write it down. Make it part of your plan. Keep listening. And then towards the end, she brought up practice plus time, which is what I've been teaching you from the very first class. The first thing I said to you, changing the way you learn from wuxi to lianxi. Practice plus time. And the whole thing, it was designed to give you this beautiful moment to say, hey, this is exactly what I'm going through. And then write this beautiful paper about, and the paper would have built your confidence and stuff. Okay. All right. Is that enough or you want another bad news?
Yeah.
You ready for the other bad news? You will
Yeah.
also notice, I want you to listen carefully from the 5 minutes, the last 5 minutes of how you were writing. The soundtrack to that 5 minutes, I think we're going to hear one keystroke somewhere in there. You might hear me breathing, but what should we have been listening to during that 5 minutes of your last 5 minutes of writing? I should have heard something, right?
Her eye reading the.
Heard you reading out loud.
Right.
Your mic was hot. We could hear you. We could hear you typing, but we didn't hear you reading out loud.
Yeah.
Right? Read the first sentence out loud.
How did we learn?
Read it again. No, just the first sentence. Just the first sentence. Read it again. Listen.
How did we learn? Do we learn?
Say it again. Listen to it.
How did we learn?
What sounds wrong? There's 4 words there. One of them's wrong. Probably the verb.
You do.
Yeah. How do we learn?
But how do we learn is the first sentence the speaker say.
She probably says, how do we learn? How did we learn would be in the past completely.
Yeah,
that we have changed the way. She's not saying that we are changing the way. This is the way we've always learned. They just didn't understand how we learned. But it's still the universal question. How do we learn? It's got to be present tense. Okay. So if you read that out loud, you started the red flag. Something's wrong here. Maybe I should rewrite this a different way. Try it a different way if there's something wrong. But out loud, how did we learn? How did we learn? If you say, how did we learn? And you're happy with it, move on. It is a question given by a speaker who is a professor from a university. Right? Read that out loud. It sounds long and awkward. Shit. So maybe you want to just, it is a question given by a university professor.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Just keep it simple. Right? given by, posed by, maybe, do you know to pose a question? Do you know that word?
Pose,
P-O-S-E, pose.
yeah, pose the question.
To pose a question, yeah. Okay, that's a good word for you to use next time instead of the question posed by the speaker of a Ted Vancouver talk. You would have noticed Ted Vancouver down there at some point and written that down in your notes, right? Get some information, background, but that stuff, background information is not important, right? The main thing is neuroplasticity. You did have this word. That should have been in the opening sentence. That's what it's called. That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
So the title should have been How Neuroplasticity is Improving My English. That should have been the title of this thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And the reading out loud. So you're editing really fast. So remember I told you this. If you'll see how your mouse is moving all over the place and you're editing and making changes really fast, but you were doing that with your eyes and not with your ears. This is everything I've been trying to get you to do. That's why you do my best draft out loud. That's from my best draft. It's bolded right there. The key to success in this exercise is to read each sentence of your draft out loud. It's not the first time I've told you. So, thoughts? I think that's all I have. It's if the question was, what happened in this video? What is this video about? You would have gotten a pretty good score. Okay. Avoid those traps when it doesn't apply to your plan. You're just kind of half listening to it for something that might apply to your plan, but you're also kind of developing your plan, taking notes. Never stop taking notes. Always, if you can start writing your essay out, then it's just copying it. If you find yourself bored, start writing your first paragraph. Write your thesis statement. Get that thesis statement down. That first one is really important. The thesis statement. The closing statement is just a repeat of the thesis statement. So for these reasons, I believe that neuroplasticity is a benefit to Taiwanese students everywhere. It's just a restatement of it. So that thesis statement, you might come back to it later. Oh, I got another idea. Go change the thesis statement. Always changing for that full. If you get the whole answer, your plan started out in the first 5 minutes, then you can start reading out loud and developing, reading out loud and developing. Okay. Questions?
So I have to read out loud my brief of when I add the first 5 minutes writing the essay.
I think you should be reading it out loud as you say it. How did we learn? Just speak, talk to the test. Talk to the test. Always reading out from the very beginning. Oh, okay. So you might say, okay, so this question is about how I am going to apply this to my life. You might not keep that. It just, you get the conversation brain trainer idea happening, right? And then you can edit that out when you develop your thesis statement better, but just get talking to it. So as I see it, this is how I'm going to, these are the main points. Ear yoga has been developing neural pathways to listening quicker. So you could maybe just pick 3 XPs and you had the perfect answer right there, right? You could just pick 3 XPs and explain how they are creating new neural pathways. Any 3 things from Infinity Key, the answer was right there. I kind of tricked you a bit. But you know what? This is a longer listening experience that you're going to have. And it was a much more difficult question because you haven't been training to give your opinion. You've been training to write a review. And that's what you did here, right? Where did you do this? Where are you? Oh, this is all done. We did this all in the brain trainer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
The fix is still here.
Yeah. No, that was a good idea. I should have told you to do that. Why is my hand up? My hand is up. Yes, coach. All right, well, there's 10 minutes left. I can
Yeah.
go longer if you want to keep going. You can check with Anna and see if you can book another class to try this again. We could keep going. Do you want to try this again? A shorter version, we'll do the 10-minute writing this time.
2-minute writing.
So it's gonna be,
Speaking.
it'll be a 10-minute video and a 10-minute writing. Or do you have other questions? That's what I'm saying. Any questions? What would you like to do next?
Oh yeah, yeah. I have another question. Yes. So I know today's topic is about how my opinion about this video, but if during the writing test, I am not sure that if I can give my opinion on that.
Yeah.
Because maybe some people told me that very long ago that told me that I should only my essay should only include those point the lecture or the passage want me to include, not my opinion that much. So maybe it's based on the topic or the question.
Yeah, you have to definitely interpret the question that way. But I would say that if there is room for opinion, you should make room for it. Okay. This question you misinterpreted. This question was asking for your opinion completely. Right? But you're right. The question might not leave any room for opinion. It might be straight reporting. And if that's the case, I mean, you did a pretty good job with this. There's mistakes in there, but it shows high level understanding, high level comprehension. Okay. I don't know how, you know what? Why don't we try? Let's see what ChatGPT says about this. Twenty out of 30. You want me to copy this over for you, or you just want to read it?
Yeah, you can maybe I can just always
Yeah,
it's
give
really
me
long.
yeah, let me copy it over for you. Actually, I don't like it like that. I'm gonna do it a bit different. I'm also gonna stop recording. Ding, 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 ding. Like this. There you go. The essay provides a central idea based on the presented lecture topic. However, the development of ideas is somewhat superficial and repetitive. Doesn't go deep enough, superficial on the surface. Okay. The concept of neuroplasticity is introduced, but the explanation lacks depth and does not fully explore how this process impacts learning. See, it's trying to say, hey, you should have explained how it impacts your learning.
Yeah.
Right? The contrast between short and long-term memory effects on the brain is mentioned, but not adequately explained. The essay has a recognizable structure with an introduction, a body discussing brain myths, and a conclusion that returns to the main question of how people learn. However, the transitions between ideas are abrupt. Abrupt. Hard turns, no flow.
Oh,
Okay. And the organization could be more logically structured to enhance clarity and flow. Okay.
yeah.
Language use in the essay demonstrates basic competency. It includes some varied sentence structures and vocabulary relevant to the topic. However, there are grammatical errors and awkward phrases. Mysteries of people's brains are not true in what they actually happen to be. Yeah, that grammar's way off. Okay.
Yeah.
That detract from the overall clarity and coherence. More precise and varied vocabulary could better convey complex ideas. Okay, so like to pose a question, that kind of thing, if you know. Grammar and syntax, 3 out of 5. That's not bad. The essay contains several grammatical errors that impact readability, such as misuse of plural forms. Yes, I noticed that one too. People's brain. People, more than one brain.
Brains. Yeah.
Brains, yeah. And awkward construction. People's brains change their structures every day. Those changes are based on those behaviors that people do every day. Yeah. 2 sentences there, first of all. That's a run-on sentence. Okay. The writer attempts complex sentence structures, but with limited success. So that's actually good. It leads to confusion in places. Maybe if you should recognize these complex ones and either you're nailing it or you simplify. Use periods. Break up long sentences with periods. Read them out loud. Does it sound right? Good. Next one. Read it out loud. Does it sound right? Something's awkward. Read it out loud again. Okay? Keep reading it out loud. Task achievement. The essay partially addresses the task, providing a basic answer to the question, how did we learn? It identifies neuroplasticity as the key factor, but fails to explore its significance or mechanism in depth. Again, telling you, personalize it. The response would benefit from more detailed examples and clearer explanations of how again, personalize it. You could have achieved that by personalizing it, right? Deepen content. This is a recommendation. Deepen your content. Expand on how the concept of neuroplasticity. Expand on the concept of neuroplasticity. Explain how it specifically affects learning and give examples or hypothetical scenarios, examples from your life to illustrate these changes. Enhance your organization. So the transitions. Alternatively, we've given you these transition words. It's in coach's notes.
Coach note.
Yeah. All these transition words. That'll help it with the flow. Okay. Organize the essay so each paragraph builds upon the previous one, culminating in a strong supported conclusion.
Culminating.
Ending with the ending. To culminate is to wrap up, to finalize. Okay. Refine language and grammar. Focus on correcting grammatical errors and refining sentence structures to enhance clarity. Okay, so the refining could mean simplify sentence structures, right? And yes, you're going to find these grammatical errors with your ears. I want to, like, when I was watching you do this, and I had to put my earphones back in. He's not talking. I said, that's what I'm gonna record. I'm gonna show you for 5 minutes that you didn't talk at all. That's the cornerstone of success. Everything about Infinity Key comes down to your ability to find your grammar mistakes with your ears. That's why you've been doing all these exercises for this moment. You don't use your ears, you're right back to before you came to me. Okay? Use your ears. Most important thing. Employ a wider range of vocabulary to more accurately express. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there were some good words, but there weren't any great words, and you developed your vocabulary. Look for chances to use them in your notes. You write down a simple word and you got a break in the listening, think, oh, that's a better word. In your notes, you can start to develop the vocabulary. Right? Okay. Clarify and expand examples. Provide more concrete examples of how different learning activities impact brain structure and function. Again, I believe he's trying to tell you to personalize. Yeah. Coach Aiden agrees with me. By addressing these aspects, this essay could more effectively communicate its ideas and adhere more closely to the expectations of the TOEFL writing task. We could give you an example of that too. What do you want, a 30 or a 28?
28.
28?
Yeah.
How do we learn that? Okay, so I don't think there's going to be any really huge new vocabulary in here for you, but go ahead and read it, please.
The process of learning has fascinated educators and scientists alike, prompting investigations into the capabilities and adaptability of the human brain. A lecture presented by a university professor and brain researchers has sheathed.
Shed.
Yeah, shit. Shit. It's
Shed.
called shit.
Shed. Like bed. Rhymes with bed. Shed.
Shed.
Red. Bed. Shed.
Shed light on some common misconceptions about the brain's development and its active state during various cognitive processes. Contrary to the one's popular belief that brain growth ceases after childhood, recent research has demonstrated that our brains continue to evolve throughout our lives. This ongoing development is primarily attributed to a phenomenon known as neuroplasticity, which refers to the brain's ability to change its structure and function in response to learning and experience. This concept provides a foundational understanding of how individuals can acquire new knowledge, acquire new knowledge and skills at varying speeds and with different levels of ease. Another prevalent myth that the brain rests when we are not actively engaged in it has also debunked
What
it, was also debunked by the researcher. In reality, our
good.
brains are perpetually,
Per,
perpetually,
that's it. Again,
perpetually active, processing information even during passive activities or rest. This constant activity is crucial for reinforcing new connections between neurons, which are essential for learning and memory retention. The speaker emphasized the distinction between short-term and long-term memory in terms of their impact on the brain. Short-term memory invokes temporary chemical changes in the brain, whereas long-term memory can lead to permanent structural alter alterations.
alterations. Right.
alterations. These changes are significant because they enhance the brain's efficiency at recording information and executing complex tasks. But furthermore, the extent and frequency of our engagement with new information directly influence our plasticity,
Brains.
brain plasticity. Regularly challenging ourselves with new learning experience not only strengthens existing neural connections, but also fosters the creation of new pathways. This reiterative process,
Reiterative.
reiterative process is vital for continuous learning and connective development.
Uh-huh.
In conclusion, the insights from the lecture illuminate the dynamic and adaptable nature of the human brain. Understanding that our brains are capable of lifelong development and learning through neuroplasticity inspires both education strategies and personal pursuit of knowledge. This knowledge empowers us to cultivate practice that enhance our cognitive capacity,
Capacities. Mhm.
in enabling us to learn more effectively and maintain a- a- agility,
Good.
mental agility throughout our lives.
Okay. So as a cold reading, your pronunciation skills, your ability to solve the puzzle of how to say a word is amazing. There's a lot of, and when you heard yourself kind of mess up the pronunciation, you went back and fixed it. You were doing this all naturally and by yourself.
Yeah.
I stopped myself from correcting you from time to time because oftentimes you self-corrected. So that's a real positive. That ability to read that, you couldn't have read that through 4 months ago. Okay. And your understanding of that's really, really high, isn't it? Couple of words like reiterative and there was one we had trouble saying up here. Oh, shed.
Shen.
To shed light on something is to make something become clear. You're confused, you're in the dark. I answer the question, I have shed light on your confusion. To shed.
Shen.
When a snake loses its skin, it's shedding. Okay, or when the dog loses all its hair, that's shedding. To shed, to get rid of. That's another meaning, but to shed light is to get rid of dark. Okay. And reiterative, to reiterate is to say it over again. just to make sure you understand, to reiterate is to say it over again. Coach reiterated. Infinity key is a reiterative process. Do it over and over and over again. Reiterative. Or was that this reiterative process? Reiterative. But other than that, like illuminate the dynamic and adaptable nature of the human brain. You understand that in conclusion, right? You can understand all that, right? So your comprehension is really high. If you read it out loud, it takes a little while longer, but you see how much more you're able to comprehend. Don't worry so much about the pronunciation. If you get to a word that you don't know, like reiterative, just go, this process is vital. You're guessing right now what that means by the time you finish the sentence. What kind of process? You don't know what that means. Is vital for continuous. If you don't know what it means, don't worry about it. Okay? There's only 2 words in here, I think, that would have thrown you, shed and reiterative. Other than that, by reading it out loud and worrying less about pronunciation and just to listen to it. When you do your reading assignment, you'll have a greater understanding by reading it out loud and taking notes. Do you want me to read this for you, or are you going to use it again? I have another idea. I want to ask Coach Aiden. We're going to get an analysis of his own writing. Hey, Coach Aiden, tell me what you think about your own writing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Definitely
28 out of
right,
30.
28.
You got 3s out of 5. It's just 1 grade higher on each one of them, right? Oh, a task achievement is 5 out of 5. So, okay. Copy that. And we'll put his notes in there. Okay. Well, we won't go over those together. We can. So you're kind of seeing a rubric, right? Have you ever seen the TOEFL rubric? You know what a rubric is? Can you recreate the TOEFL writing rubric? That's it. Okay. Notes from coach. There, you can find it in notes from coach right here.
Maybe we should cut the title of score 5, score 4 or not?
Why?
Because wait a minute. Those were
This is what you need to accomplish if you're going to get these scores. Okay. So you see, to get a 4, you can have some errors, minimal errors to get a 5. You can still make mistakes. Okay.
Okay.
So I don't know if you can use that. I'm trying to give you I don't want to let you go. I want to go write the test with you. I wish it was people's brain. Then you could go in and use my brain to write the test.
You can have it.
Yeah. What else? Is there anything else I can help you with? I'm just trying to give you as many ideas as I can right now.
I think this kind of class is very cool, and maybe we can have a little test next week. Oh no, you don't have time next week.
Right, yeah, we can look at a different time, but I'm doing the commercial. I'm playing Santa Claus.
A commercial.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where are we? Wow, we've been here a long time. I'm shooting a commercial all night. So I might not even be home by 10:30. Sometimes it can be 14 or 16 hours, these commercials. But I'm playing Santa Claus. Ho, 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 ho. So we'll go with 12:15. You don't have any other questions, huh?
Um. No. No. I put my programs.
Okay, let's take a look at the schedule for next week. See how my week is. You want to do Thursday morning?
Do you have it? Do you have the time at next week and 10:30
On Thursday morning?
or Thursday morning?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah. Okay, let's
Fine.
just move this to edit. And we're going to change the date to the 21st. Save this event only. Send. And then if we look at the next week, we're back to Wednesday again. Okay, good. So there it is, Thursday morning.
Yeah.
Okay. So relax. Hey, do you think that 478 and power posing thing, do you think that's helpful?
That is helpful.
Yeah.
I think that's did I really need to take 5 minutes per 7/8?
I don't know, you're the first person to do it.
I don't
So the
really
feedback is valuable. Think 3 minutes, 2 minutes? How much time?
maybe I can try next time.
Try it 1 minute and see what happens. Then okay. Feel the difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of getting yourself worked up and feeling anxious first. Try and get yourself into a mindset, even if you're pretending. Right? Again, fake it till you make it. Stress yourself and then see how fast you can relax from the stress and then build confidence.
Okay.
I thought that was interesting too. Well, I'm gonna have to put this on YouTube, but I won't put it in a public space on YouTube because it's way too big to put onto Google Drive. They won't accept it. So
Okay.
all right. So I'll lower my hand now. And anything else I can help you with today, Ben?
Today, no, maybe no, maybe next week.
Okay, well, when we're doing plays as actors, we never say good luck because saying good luck is bad luck. So we say break a leg. Break a leg.
Break a leg.
Break a leg.
Yeah, break my leg.
Your leg, yeah, break a leg. That's how actors say good luck to each other.
Okay.
And you're gonna go act like an English speaker.
Okay.
Relax, you'll be fine.
Protection.
Yeah. Okay, buddy. Good luck. Let us know. We'll be thinking about you. You and Nina are both writing on Saturday, so we're gonna be sending lots of good vibrations out into the 9 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.